Hey, thought I'd go through a song I like. I know a lot of other people like. Frampton's Lines on My Face. People probably know it from his famous 70s curly long blonde hair era. Frampton Comes Alive. It's definitely didn't get as much radio play as other songs from that era, such as but it's got some interesting chord work and it's got some great solos in it. So I thought I'd go through the basics of the chord work and then talk about some of the soloing that he does. The Frampton sound is actually, it's hard to get. He's a bit of a gear freak. So what I've got simulating on my software that I'm using, if you got pedals at home, he's got chorus on it, he's got delay, a lot of reverb, and classic part of his sound was the Leslie rotating speaker. So whatever you can do to simulate that sound. Now the chords, I'm going to start with a F major 7, so it's an F, but you leave the high E to ring. And we're going to use a G, and then we're going to do this little move that you can think of it as a partial C. We use the C note and the G, and then bring up and get the D as well. So it would be the bottom part of, you call it a G5, or some people call it an English G, or think of it as a variation of the C chord. And the song is going to start with back and forth between the F major 7th and the G and that little lick, and then we're going to move up, then he's going to slide, and the notes we're going to be playing here on the 5th fret, we're going to have a G, open G, E, and then A. So if you think about the notes A, G, and E, it's kind of a A7th leaving out the 3rd, leaving out the C sharp. And after we do that, we're going to get a little pull off and play a D. It's really just a C slid up to the 3rd fret. We're going to mess around with that a little bit. And then the opening ends with just a full regular D suspension 4. Just a pull off. And then it moves into a solo. So we'll go through that. Then the verses are just going to follow that same F major 7th, G, and I'll refrain from singing. So you do that through the verses to the last line where you just get F major 7, such as got the feeling, I opened my eyes, too late, plain old G. Then the chorus is going to be C, step down from the C to the B, A minor. Essentially, you're just going to bar everything on the 3rd fret. You could call it a G minor 11th, just as a E minor 11th would be just playing all the open strings of the guitar. A minor 11th has, because it's a minor, it's got a flat 3rd, it's got a flat 7, it's got the 9 and the 11th. A lot of people play it though because that's 6 notes. One way to play it is just to leave out the 9. So what we've got when we're doing a G minor 11th, we've got G, our 1, the flat 3 is going to be B flat, which we catch here, or A sharp. Then the 5 is going to be D. Then, because it's a flat 7th, we're going to have F. And then the 11th note, which is just the 4 of the chord, but an octave higher, that's going to be the C. So we're just going to get them all in there. And then this little move that ends the chorus. So use that, catch the A, F major seventh twice, C. All right, so again, the chorus goes, call out your name, but there's no answer. And then it launches into a lead. Now the scale that he's using, it's really, you can think of it as a C major for most of it that occasionally throws in an F sharp, or you can think of it as a G major that occasionally throws in a flattened seventh. And I think that's maybe the easiest way. So think about a G major scale, where in a G major scale, the only difference between it and a C major scale is that in a G major, we've got an F sharp, whereas in the C, we've got an F. And he's going to use both of those. The first run that he makes is going to be a descending riff that starts on the G, uses the F sharp, and at times he's going to make use of that F sharp, but more often than not, he's going to use a plain old F. So think about what the C scale looks like up at the 12th fret, because almost all of the work happens up at the 12th fret. So just basically think about every natural note. No sharps, no flats. So G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. So have that at your fingertips. If you want to move it up to the 15th fret, if you're comfortable with thinking about modes, you think about what a G mixolydian looks like. And sometimes he goes up as high as hitting the high A. So he does that first pass of the soloing after the introductory bit, then he goes into the verse, and at the end of each verse comes some soloing as well. Then the next thing is eventually he comes in and kicks in the tube screamer, I think is the pedal that he uses. It gives a little bit of distortion. So I'll run through a couple of solo moves. In the Frampton Comes Alive album, he really does a lot of really fast soloing. I'm going to slow things down a bit so you can get at least a sense of some ideas. And I don't claim to have got it note for note, but definitely some of the passages that he uses and some framework for you to think about as you proceed.